I have to pee, as soon as I wake up, but I pee right before bed.
Yeah.
Maybe have like the tiniest sip of water, so.
Shit do you think you can hold in your stomach, in your body? I think like 5 pounds.
Oh, by weight?
By weight, like 5-10 pounds.
I think you'd have to be pretty constipated, but I think you could hold that much.
That's like this much.
It's a lot. But you know how crazy it is, your intestines, like they could stretch out and they'd be like a mile or something. I don't know. That could be not true. I didn't look
I don't know. That's one of those like those things the adults used to tell us. Like, what if they're wrong? Because I know that they lied about the baby bird thing. You can hold a baby bird. It's just our parents didn't want us touching all these baby birds on the ground.
Yeah. What else? What other lies have they told? Because they didn't want to deal with
lies that these boomers told us. 10 pounds easy. Yeah, I think so.
I definitely. That.
We're definitely going to get to that in a bit.
Very change of tone there.
Right.
No, you're fine, James.
No, we just like to keep it light at the top before we get into like the deep dark stuff because, it gets really sad. Things like foam parties, we were talking about that before.
Yeah, Amber wants to know if they still happen, and I say they do, we just are not invited to them.
I know. Do foam parties still happen? Like, it's going to be a huge bummer if I'm not invited ever again because I'm a crone. Or whatever.
No one will let me in the foam party.
Let me in the foam party.
Come on, guys, let me in. Oh, God, if only. I guess we could just have one.
An LPM phone party? Ooh. I don't know. You just gotta you gotta get a shitty apartment and then just put like saran wrap over everything and then just fill it with foam.
This seems like a lot of work.
Back.
A lot of work to just be uncomfortable and then kind of like mad.
It looks like no, they're not a thing. People are saying it's gross. Maybe we've evolved as a species?
Nah, I don't think so. No, unfortunately, I don't think that's the case.
It is gross. Everybody's saying gross, gross, no. Damn, well, that's a shame.
Yep. We sometimes, I feel like there is like movement forward in many ways. Things are progressing, and then other things are just slipping on backwards.
Yeah, some things you got to cut when you want to prune the grass to make a new society, and I guess foam parties is one of them. Sorry, R.I.P. You guys.
Maybe that was the whole problem. The problem of everything.
I feel like there's all these new STDs, so I don't know.
There is?
Yeah. Can we talk about Kanye? There's a lot of people saying Kanye.
The problem, guys, is every time I say I'm going to talk about something, 12 new horrible things happen in between episodes.
Right.
There's several different Kanye things. Which one are you guys referring to?
He's in trouble because he's doing a porn app, and then he and his wife were like sending materials to underage kids.
Okay.
To review and fix it for the app. Like,
let's pull back on that just because that is close to what I think is what happened, but that's like a little bit. Some of it is basically in a lawsuit, right? A former employee, which this is all so complicated in the fact that the person who's talking about defending the Kanye brand is Milo Yiannopoulos, who you cannot believe a single thing out of his mouth.
No.
He is soulless human being.
He was working for the Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't know how to say her name, and he took her credit card to buy like a Kanye website. Spent a lot of money.
I mean, fuck her.
Embezzled it.
I'm glad. I don't want her to have money. I say steal all of it. So one of the employees that Milo Yiannopoulos is trying to say never actually worked for them is claiming that because I don't know if you saw in one of the manic episodes he was having, he did openly post he was going to start a porn app. Yeezy. I think it was just called Yeezy porn or something. There was even like a template, like a holder for it for a minute, and then he was like, "Never mind. Actually, I'm not going to do that."
Right.
Does that mean it's dead in the water? No, probably not. But according to that lawsuit, that person was saying that as this was being developed. And Milo Yiannopoulos acknowledges it was being developed because he claims that because he saved and became straight, as you do, that he would not be comfortable working in a company that owned a porn app. So he says that it's real, but the allegations are that Bianca, the wife, was sending graphic pornography stuff to employees, and some of the people around the business place and the employees, for some reason, were minors. I don't know why they were there or what they were doing, but yeah, so that's one of many, many allegations that are being presented to the courts.
All allegations. I'm just a yappy girl, and we're a comedy show, kind of.
Yeah, you know.
Right.
That's my, you know.
I mean, not this specifically, but the network.
Yeah, of course. So that is one of many, one of the ones that I really wanted to focus on last week. And I don't know, you guys, what do you think of their dynamic? Because at best, they are performing some sort of kink together.
Because she's like not allowed to speak or anything.
And she doesn't wear clothes very often.
Right.
Like literally, like I don't know if you guys have seen photos. It's disturbing to me, but at best she is like an enthusiastic participant, right? However, I think that there is a consent issue when you make your kink public, and if they're enacting a kink, they're involving the public in a way that they have not agreed upon, because there's something that is so terrifying looking at her. And so if they're trying to do it to be edgy or to like make an art statement, what it looks like is that she is a prisoner. Yeah,
right.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, so. Public kink. Remember the Silver Lake Trader Joe's? There was a woman that walked her boyfriend like as a dog. And I think it's funny, but it's also like, ma'am, there's kids here buying avocados.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
I really hate that shit. I don't think any sort of like pornish stuff should be occurring in public. It's just like, if you're going to do shit like that, if you're doing it in a space where people don't consent and people are minors, you're kind of a creepy weirdo.
Yeah, and if that's part of the kink,
No, that's not a kink. That is a crime, right? You know, so the criminal aspect of it, the non-consensual aspect of it is not a kink. It's like saying that your kink is children or something. You know what I mean? Like that's not. It's a problem. You're preying on people.
My kink is having a nice time, having an adorable time.
Having fun.
Having fun.
Yeah.
It's all consensual, and there's rainbows and flowers and puppies. Sure.
So everyone aware of that, okay? So if you're not into that, you can't come near Amber.
No, you can't. You're not allowed.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about her? Do any of you guys have any opinions on Bianca?
Yeah, let's write in.
It is a bummer. I really, it does feel like perhaps also this could be a thing that, you know, Elon's doing right now, where Kanye's using this as a distraction against all the lawsuits, where you're like, oh, let's all focus on this weird thing his wife's doing. Mm-hmm. Don't look at all the lawsuits over there, because it's sort of like what Elon's been doing with the weird Jordan Peterson interview, talking about his child being dead, even though they're not, killed by the woke mind virus.
What?
Yeah, he called his child, who is a trans kid, dead. Like, called that kid a dead kid.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's horrible. He's a piece of shit. And I will say, you know, you are the Netanyahu to my Elon. I just want you to know that.
Thank you. Oh, God, I feel like my teeth are yellow. My bangs are fucked up. I was here to, you know what? I'm going to think positive. It's all good.
Girl, what you on?
I don't know. I think I just haven't slept.
Well, that's probably not helpful.
Right. But it's okay. We got Amber Live after this. This should be really concise.
I mean, do you need it to be It's Amber Live?
No.
You should probably have some keyboard cleaner beforehand, you know?
Man, there were some teenagers that invited me to take whippets around the corner, and I said, no, thank you. But every day, I think, what would my life be like if I would have said yes?
Whippets are have you ever done whippets?
I've done them in a basement where they belong.
Yeah, it's probably the best place to do them.
Right.
It's such a fast thing. I don't know if they're really worth it.
No, I just remember going, no! And then it was over. And I was like, oh, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, no more.
No. That's no longer part of your kink.
No, drugs are not my thing.
No.
I mean, I like my vodka. You know.
You're crazy.
I'm crazy.
Oh my God. It's happy hour somewhere. We're not drinking though, guys.
No, I'm not drinking. I have yerba mate in this. I'm done with mushrooms. I'm done with acid. I've done meth one time. We should get to the news. We should get to the news.
Let's go. We're going to transition into a really horrible subject now. It makes me so upset and so sad that this happened. I don't know if anybody's followed the story of the Sonya Massey shooting. This happened in Illinois. This is a woman who they're basically, all the reports are saying she had a mental health crisis. But when I hear that, I'm thinking, oh, when they're saying that, she must have been manic or like lunging and attacking and like being aggressive because she was shot multiple times in the head by a police officer. They broke into her
house too. They came in her house.
She called them.
Right.
She called them because she thought somebody was prowling around her house, and maybe she was having some sort of mental health crisis, but what the body cam footage shows is her not being aggressive at all or being threatening in any way. So I think it's kind of tough to call it a mental health issue. So if you want to look at this is an image. I'm not going to play the video. You can find it. It is really awful to watch. Super traumatic. This is as close as she ever got to the police in this instance. So if you can see in this screenshot from the body cam, by the way, the man who shot her didn't have his body cam on, shockingly.
Wow.
So she essentially in those moments, they'd come in her house because she was saying she was afraid somebody was around. They told her, you should turn the boiling water off on the stove. We don't want it to like cause a fire or whatever. She goes into the kitchen at their request, pulls it off of the stove and brings it over to the counter where you see her in this clip, right? So this is where she has a pot of boiling water. They, for some reason, and that I can't really fully understand because we don't have the full angle, became concerned she was going to throw it. And so they start to back away and she says something like, "May God rebuke you." She doesn't throw it at them. And in fact, after she says that, the man who ends up shooting her becomes insane in like 2 seconds. He starts screaming at her that he's going to shoot her in the fucking head and aims a gun at her face. And she says sorry and ducks down in fear. Within seconds, her head comes back up and he shoots straight into her head. And it's unbelievably horrible to look at. This guy took it from 0 to 100 in maybe 20 seconds and just took her life with like no regard. And thankfully his partner had the body cam on because they would have tried to have played this off as though she was, because he said it. You hear it in the body cam footage. So in this little blurb that just came up, Grayson did not activate his body camera until after he fatally shot Massey. According to charging documents, the other deputy who had activated his body camera when he first arrived in the scene, documents state. And you hear in that aftermath that when another cop shows up, that this man who shot her is saying, she was coming at me with boiling water. She was trying to kill me, like all this stuff, which was not happening. So, and this is also another piece, I think, from CNN. Minutes after the shooting, Grayson speaks to another law enforcement figure. She had boiling water and came at me with boiling water, he says in the video. She said she was going to rebuke me in the name of Jesus and came at me with boiling water, which is a lie. That is a fucking bold-faced lie.
And so, like, this guy has a really sus past to the point where, like, If I wouldn't even hire you at the post office, I don't understand how you're hired in a position with authority and a weapon.
Yeah, he is. So this is a clip here explaining that that the man who shot her, whose name is Sean Grayson, he's 30 years old. He had been working as a cop for 4 years, and he had been moved around to 6 different agencies in that time. They won't reveal to the public whether or not his moving around had to do with disciplinary issues, but what we do know about his past is that at the age of 30, he already had 2 DUIs under his belt, and he was also released from the military prematurely for, what is that word? I want to make sure I say it right. Because it's not dishonorable discharge. It is called, where'd it go?
Honorably discharged?
No, it's, yeah, I mean, it's technically called honorable discharge unless you were dishonorably discharged, which I think is a very specific kind of thing that happens. He was discharged early, and it was based on misconduct, parentheses, serious offense. And because of the rules in the Army, they won't disclose what that means. But it is serious offense, and outsiders basically say this could be something that might end up, like a civilian might end up in jail for a year for, like a misdemeanor, like something fucked up, but not something he would maybe like, not a crime to the level of like he would go to prison for the rest of his life. But it was something bad, and so he was dismissed from the military, and then they hired him with 2 DUIs as a cop. And I'm obviously not versed in how military and police stuff works, but there are plenty of specialists saying that that would be enough red flags to not hire him. So the question is, how does he end up in 6 agencies?
Do we just not have enough people like applying for these positions, or they're just like, we need cops, whatever, just get this weird guy over here, or what's going on?
I can't imagine that's happening. I think if anything, it was like a good old boys community. I don't know. The system is so fucked, it doesn't work. And that drunk yokel had no business being given a government-issued weapon to kill civilians. That shit is fucked up. And if you end up deciding to watch the footage, you'll see how vibrating he is wanting to shoot that woman. They had every availability to walk away if they actually felt threatened. And also, he had a taser, but he chose to shoot her in the head. And it's like unfathomable to me. I wouldn't call this a silver lining. It's not a silver lining. There's nothing good about this, but he is facing murder charges right now.
Wow.
Because a lot of the time when this happens, they sometimes like end up getting like put on a desk.
Oh, right.
Like still like getting like their...
A vacation even.
Yeah, like paid leave.
Paid leave. Yeah, so they can just like go to Tijuana, or what's going on?
So, he's facing murder charges, thankfully. He, of course, also pled not guilty to those because he's a special little boy. But people who knew him from other agencies, I know there was one quote that said, I thought he was a loose cannon. He was just arrogant and cocky, which is what I would also describe him as, is the little bit I've seen of him.
Yeah.
Arrogant, entitled, should not have a weapon issued by the taxpayers in the government. Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up, and you can...
Thank you for not showing the video, because it's a lot.
It is a lot. I think that it's good that it's released because people need to see this, but her death shouldn't have to be exploited, and like
Right.
the suffering her family has to go through as this is played over and over and over again shouldn't have to happen. But I'm glad the footage exists, because we would hear an entirely different story if there was no video. That it would be like, oh, she was running at me, she was 2 inches from my face, and
Right.
I just didn't know what else to do. And that was not what happened at all. Yeah. So really sorry to her family, and that just makes me mad. And if you guys want to check her story out just so you can like learn a little bit about it and learn about her, it's just disgusting. But her family's like really stepping up and fighting for her. So yeah.
Well, Ed and I were talking about this today, about like, we're talking about the dumb things we've done. And he said that for a long time he thought it was fun to be like mean, like the mean things, just to like make people upset, that was funny. And then he realized when he grew up that actually wasn't funny, and there's consequences to this. And there's some people that never snap out of it, and they just keep doing the mean bad thing to get the reaction, and they wind up in jail or divorced, alone, like a bad time, on Twitter posting shit posts. Like what kind of life is this?
I don't know. It's totally true. And I think that's so common for young people in general. You know, we all have our ugly faces when we're in teen years and adolescent years, and you kind of are testing boundaries and figuring out who you are, and that's, I think, a pretty normal. I'm not saying everybody should be bullying each other. I disagree with that, but we all just said and did shitty things when we were younger. But you are supposed to try to be a better person. Learn and develop and, you know, attain some kind of empathy. But
that's hard to do.
It is hard.
It's easy to just sink in the shit and be angry at everybody else. And speaking of like angry weird men, we got another one of them.
Did you guys see that the ballerina farm article that came out in Times?
My heart goes out to this woman. She works so hard, so tirelessly, and this man, he poached her pretty young.
Yeah, and there's a certain point where I do go like, well, you're also now just choosing this, but But I don't know. Do you guys know of her? Have you heard about her? She was kind of making the rounds, trending because she participated in a beauty pageant. What was it, like 9 days after she gave natural birth in her home? Natural birth,
no like pain relievers, and she was in the makeup chair, still bleeding and like holding onto her baby.
Yeah, and that already is, of course, like, do we need to have a discussion? What's going on here? Right. I could see in a world where she just really wants to do that, and I could have my opinions.
Girl, she had 8 kids, and every single one except for one, she had to do it naturally because that's what her husband wanted. And she had 1 kid with an epidural, and she, in the interview, she like smiled and was like, "Yeah, that was a great epidural. That was pretty great."
Yeah, so in the article, if you get a chance to read it, I think it's done really well. It's not just a hit piece on her or trad wife. They actually, I think they do a good job. Oh my God, I forgot to get her name on it.
Oh, XIR626 subscribe to Tier 1. They subscribed for 8 months. Ooh,
thank you so much. Hell yeah.
And it also looks like Kaylee Janey also subbed. Thank you so much, Kaylee Janey.
I want to find the journalist's name.
But the husband that
Megan Agnew.
Right, because he just had to have everything his way. He wants to live on a farm. He doesn't want help with childcare. He wants the kids homeschooled. Like, she was a ballerina at Juilliard, and he was just like, nope, come with me.
So essentially what this article covers is discussing how this journalist came when this ballerina farm, her name's Hannah, right? I only can think of her name as Ballerina Farm.
Right.
Whenever she started to trend for these strange reasons, this journalist wanted to pick it up because, of course, the trad wife content is a big talking point right now.
It's a moneymaker, and she's a business owner. Like, she is an entrepreneur. She's selling eggs and sourdough starters, and she has like millions of views online. Like, she pulls in money.
Although, we'll say, I think one of the things that people take umbrage with her is that they are of course a Mormon family, and they're sort of perpetuating this idea that they're like homesteading, like we're Little House on the Prairie, except that her husband's family own JetBlue. Essentially, they're like billionaires. So one of the first things I remember ever hearing about her was that she had this like kitchen photo where she was like doing the cosplay, and then people were like, that stove behind her is like $40,000.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. So if you're like an average American looking at this and say you do want to be a homemaker, that's a wonderful job, and it's a hard job. And then you're like, oh, this is like, we're trying to make ends meet with all the kids and the husband working, and how come this lady has all this really nice stuff? I don't have that kind of stuff. And it's because she married a JetBlue founder.
And that also is, I think, a fair thing to criticize. But the thing that was focused on in the article, which I really appreciated, was this journalist she wanted to just hear from this woman, Hannah, what she was really feeling. She wanted to hear like how she enjoyed the trad wife life, and she wasn't there to judge her. But the problem was in the way she peppers it through the article is that she tried the entire day. She traveled all the way to their remote ranch to talk to this woman, and she could not get her alone for 20 minutes. Like, she never got to interview her alone because she either had her children with her or her husband was there, and he talked over her a lot and kind of like answered questions for her.
I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the way that she presented it was just kind of telling you what happened. It wasn't going like, this man, this horrible man. Like, she was being extremely neutral, in my opinion, and even points out that like the trad wife trend came as a backlash to the really ill-fated girl boss
Of like the early
trend.
2000s.
Yeah, the aughts, because that didn't help women very much. And also, they're both basically trends that are presented by and directed to white women who seem very lost, in my opinion. But so now this is like another way of pushing against that idea, which the boss babe thing was wrought with problems, right? So she points that out, and that's fair. But the article goes through it in a clever way that just basically explains that the husband never really goes away, and the husband chose for his family to not have nannies. They have no in-home health care.
They could have nannies.
Yeah, they're very rich.
And by the way, I think the boss babe thing happened as a reaction from our mothers that had to be a caretaker for a bunch of kids and do a job.
course.
And it was just like never stopping. So they would my mom told me very young of like, get a job and support yourself and wait to have kids until you find someone that you love and get married to first, because it's too hard.
And that element of it, I think, is good, but it became like a sea of just like weird pseudo like white feminism stuff that didn't really help anyone. But yeah, of course, that was definitely a reaction, which I completely get.
Yeah, but she, she's just not left alone. He's just always there. And oh my God, she wants I want to show a video. It was her birthday. She wants tickets to Greece. It's a wealthy family. Who cares? Get her tickets to Greece for her birthday. And her husband gets her a gift. He doesn't even wrap it.
Wait, is this on her account? Where do you see this?
It's on her account.
Okay.
And you don't see the kids.
Uh-huh.
I messaged them. Can we show it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was my birthday present from Daniel. Hoping their tickets to Greece.
Where's it from?
I don't know, the boys took it off.
I took it off.
It's from Ukraine.
So, plane tickets?
Oh, she wanted to go to Greece, the country.
Yeah.
Ooh, a hat I can wear in Greece.
It's not a hat.
It's not.
Oh, my egg apron!
Eggs in it.
Great, I didn't gather eggs.
So cute. It's really cute.
Just another chore.
That's the best. You're welcome.
Thanks, honey.
Sorry.
Was that an Instagram cry for help? She was just like, "Let me out, please."
He doesn't even
Wow.
wrap it. Doesn't even put it in a box like with like wrapping paper, or it's just in the shipping.
So I want to also put the caveat in. We have no idea whether she's happy or not. Maybe she loves this, and maybe her life is great. She could be participating in this thing that I find to be gross as well. But the backstory of this article kind of goes into how they met, how they became a couple. A lot of it's told through the husband. But this clip, this little excerpt I'm going to pull up, it's basically discussing how he tricked her into their first date. So this is from the article. One day she mentioned to Daniel that she was getting the 5-hour flight from Salt Lake City to New York, where she was, a professional ballerina, to Juilliard. She didn't realize his dad owned the airline. So Daniel was like, I'm on that same flight, she says. I remember checking in and them saying, oh, you two are 5A and 5B. I just thought, no way, that's crazy. Daniel smiles. I made a call. He had pulled strings at JetBlue, and so began their first date. And like, look, I can see how this could be a cute thing, right?
You made the tickets.
I think it's with the knowledge of how much this man controls every single aspect of his family's life that makes it sound scary to me, because she was not showing any interest in him, right?
She didn't want to get married.
And she wanted to pursue her career.
Right. And he 2 months in, he was like, marry me. You have to marry me.
And they both came from strict LDS families. And so she probably felt like this was maybe the right move for her, like God was telling her to marry this man or whatever. But she didn't seem to show any interest, and then kind of tricked her into being cornered on a plane using his family's money. I think that's weird. Maybe I'm weird for thinking that's weird, but I think that's really uncomfortable because she wasn't agreeing to a date. Like, she had nowhere to go. Like, he literally held her hostage in the air.
Yeah.
As their first date.
I don't know. I like going to a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe a restaurant.
Yeah, the
glass
guy's
of wine.
parents own, and the only table left that you have to sit at in the back corner is the one that he has.
Oh, she wanted to be a ballerina at Juilliard. She already was. She was the only undergraduate pregnant woman at Juilliard.
So when they met, she was like 21, he was 23, and she had a good chance at a strong career, but they got married really young. He wanted to get married right away, even though she didn't want to. Which she kind of talks about like in a cutesy way, which is it's not really cutesy at all. She was like, I wanted to be a dancer, and he said, no, we're going to move to Brazil, which is what happened. And
Just take her away from her family and her knowing. And
yeah. And it also basically moved them out, like the article describes, moved them out to this ranch because he wanted to ranch. He wanted her to stay home with the kids, but she pushed back that much and said, well, I want to be a part of the business if we're going to do this, which good for her. And the article points out that this home doesn't really feel like she has any part of her in it. She actually wanted to make a little ballet studio in one place, and then they turned it into the kids' schoolroom instead, so she can't, to like do a bar or anything like that.
And I think her pageant dresses, they were like, yeah, we just threw them in the garage.
Yeah.
It's like everything she loves is just taken from her.
Yeah, and you were mentioning another thing I wanted to bring up that was like very, very red flaggy to me. So she talks about how she's only ever had completely natural childbirth under candlelight, because this is a big part of their Little House on the Prairie lifestyle. It seems like it, however, is at the behest and the request of her husband.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. He seems to hold like an iron fist over the kids, because they also don't go anywhere. They like live in an isolated. Their friends are each other. They don't really see a lot of other people. It seems like
the kids aren't allowed to go on the phone, which I kind of get, because you don't.
Sure.
You don't want to introduce your kids to the internet too early. They could find some really suspicious stuff. But at a certain point, they're going to be an adult.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that there is some good elements to they describe in the article that their kids don't like have access to technology and stuff like that. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
Right.
But when you're also super isolated and those kids might have like play groups and stuff, but they don't leave to go to school, and they live really far from people. So I imagine they don't always see people. But in the article, she has like a low whispering conversation literally with the mother, because they could not get away from anyone else. And so they were the journalist was asking her about how, if she like, oh, you had all these natural childbirths, did you ever use anything? And she's like, well, one time Daniel couldn't be there, and so I got an epidural. And she like whispered it. Holy shit.
And I think he interrupted at one point, and they were like, so you've always had natural? He's like, yeah, we do natural childbirth.
Yeah, we do natural childbirth. Get fuck, dude?
And Eric, you just had a baby. Like, that's crazy. Can you imagine doing that?
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I have a hard time imagining your partner agreeing to have a candlelight natural birth at your request.
I'll tell you some stories.
I mean, your body rips in half. You know why they call it, I don't fucking know. Your hips break open. Your hips break open.
I
know
God.
women have been doing this forever, but it's like we
Well,
have-
yeah, but listen, you want to do natural childbirth, no judgment, that's all on you. The fact that a partner can request that you do that, I feel like if he wants to do that, he should also have to push a watermelon out of his penis hole.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, I'll do it if you do
Yeah.
this. Or like, something that's like actually physically possible, like sticking a rod up your urethra while she's giving natural childbirth.
Put an umbrella up his asshole and pull the thing. Pull the
Yeah, then maybe I could see
Right.
a deal there. Yeah, Jesus. So, yes, natural childbirth all day long if that's what you want. I just feel like it should be the choice and the choice only. And also, why does this person, is he getting off on his partner in pain? Or
Maybe there was a French king, and I think we mentioned this in another sub, but he liked to see women. He wanted to make sure that the heir was his, so he had to see the baby coming out, and that's why we still have childbirth laying down. We shouldn't. It's all because of a French king. He just wanted to make sure, like, that's the kid, and you're not going to switch it off.
are you sure that's why we do laying down?
You know what? Someone told me that at a bar, and I'm going to repeat it.
Just in case we have any like medical professionals, I don't know if we don't know.
They saying yes.
Okay.
They saying yes in chat.
All right, I'm
For
sorry
now.
to even question you, Amber. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I do sincerely hope that this woman is happy. I worry for the kids a little bit, but they don't do the lifestyle that I like. That's okay. It's not my fucking family. I'm trying not to judge them too harshly. It seems like some of their aspects of their life is amazing. Like these kids get to roam on these beautiful lands.
Yeah, that's fun.
There's lots of probably very nice things about their childhood.
They probably get to run around and
You get to play with horses and do all that kind of stuff.
really cute,
It
yeah.
seems cool. I hope that this is what she actually wants, because this journalist just reporting the things she and her husband were saying are alarming to probably a lot of people. Maybe she doesn't feel that way. I really, really hope. The only thing I feel, the main caveat is, if this is really what she wants to do, of course I don't want her exploiting her kids, but that's just like off the table.
Do you think the kids know about Skibbity Toilet?
Absolutely not. She basically says in that article they only watch things like Little House on the Prairie occasionally.
Oh boy.
So I
right.
don't think they got to Skibbity Toilet level yet.
Do you think it'd just give him an aneurysm if I gave him a Dorito and a Skibbity Toilet video?
See, that to me, that makes you weaker if you can't handle a Dorito. You need to be able to eat some crap. You know what I mean? Your
Right.
body needs the defense system.
I think they might, because you know how scientists can't find people without microplastics inside them because we can't find
Yeah.
a variable? They might be the one.
Maybe.
They might be the family.
So, yeah, maybe they're just plastic-free children. That's great. I support that. I just really wish that they would portray this lifestyle as the LARP that it is. Because one of the most harmful things, and we've talked about this with Nara Smith or whatever, and I understand she's not like nearly the worst. I think she's fine.
Yeah, I follow her.
And she does such a theatrical aspect of it. It seems way more like a LARP.
Yeah, I look at it as like, oh, this is like a skit or like a satire. or
Yeah.
something. And she looks like she really loves her kids and she never shows the kids on camera.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
totally.
yeah, great.
I agree.
She just looks really hot and like makes homemade food. And I'm
Yeah.
like, all right.
I think that there's much less to be concerned with that kind of thing, but it's sort of these families who they're not actually being honest about what they're portraying, and like this homesteading life is not an attainable thing for almost anybody. And
Yeah.
the fact that she's not allowed to have nannies is...
Not my thing.
The husband also in the article says that he's hoping to fill up the 15-seat passenger van that they have. And she kind of went, oh, we'll see. We'll see.
That's torture. And he said something like she always has a baby every 9 months. Her body's always ready every 9 months.
Oh, right, because she was saying we wait for God to
Yeah.
decide, but it's like she just gets pregnant all the time.
he just
Because he just keeps not pulling out. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I being too judgmental about this?
No, 15 times to break your body open with no drugs?
I just can't even. I have such a curious mind about what Michelle Duggar's body is like.
And in that community, not all of them, of course, but I read an article where they think you, once you're about 50, around menopause, that you're put out to pasture. So these women will just go to an apartment and they still have to work. They're not taken care of. And the men just joke, like, they can't have any more kids. We had to go put her out to pasture.
Wait, who is this?
This is more people in this religion.
Oh, in this sort of community?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be there anyway. So,
No.
but when you have a bunch of kids, doesn't your uterus start to sometimes fall out? Like, honestly, isn't that a thing that happens to some people where sometimes you have to shove it back in? Anybody with kids, do you guys know? Because I've heard that, and I don't know if that's true, but I can't imagine that she is, she must be either in pain all the time or she has, it can't be. She can't have an easy go of it. Her body has to be destroyed.
And I want to be like, girl, get in a Corvette.
Lenadel spray.
Oh, prolapsed uterus. And yes, it can happen.
It's gotta be a mess down there, man. But maybe she's relieved because maybe that means she doesn't have to have sex with that man anymore. So I guess that's good.
Right. Maybe the women that are put out to pasture.
They're like, yes.
God. Yeah.
They're like, oh no, damn it. Okay, I guess I'll have to not be around you all the time. Darn it, that sucks.
Darn it, that sucks. I guess I get my own apartment. Oh, man.
Oh man, it blows. Anyway, yeah, that's sad. Duggar news, guys. Jana's engaged, it looks like.
Yeah?
Yeah, the oldest daughter, the stay-at-home daughter, it seems like she's engaged.
And she got out.
No.
No, she's in.
You can't leave until you're with a man in that family. She's considered old in fun years. She's 32, I think. And they're like, oh, she's an old maid. She's never gonna... But it seems like she's actually
Is she happy?
I don't know if she knows what happy is. I have no idea. I hope that she feels content. I don't know.
Who's the man?
They're keeping it secret. There's speculation.
Do you think he's a Satanist with a lot of tattoos?
Well, yeah, no. I think we were joking about this last week that it was just going to be like Chris Angel or something.
Oh, that's the funniest husband. Here's my husband reveal is Chris Angel.
Speaking of abusers.
Yeah, no, he sucks.
Oh,
by the
he
way.
is?
Yeah, he's trash.
No.
Bad dude. No, all the crew is so sad. They're angel heads over here.
Mind freak.
I know. I did like his magic show, I have to say.
Because he was the alti emo magic guy. Get out of the way, classy magicians with a bow tie. We've got a man with
We've got
emo
new
haircut.
metal. Stained is here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that one of those bunnies was with him for a while, and she has a lot of stuff to say.
Is that what they call her? The girls, the bunnies?
The Girls Next Door. Were you not in that show? I kind of am obsessed with that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I did love that show, but he would go to the Playboy Mansion?
Chris Angel?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But he also, which one was it? Not Bridget.
I heard an interview with her. It was crazy.
It's not
my
Bridget.
God.
It's not Kendra. It's
Holly Madison?
Holly.
Oh, I like her.
I love her. I've read one of her books. She's very interesting. I think her in not Kendra. They have a podcast, basically.
Great.
But that show is still, obviously there's a lot of problems with it, but it's really entertaining. And there was an episode in one of the earlier seasons that I came across in more recent years where Trump was there with his daughter Ivanka was there at the Playboy Mansion. So that's fun.
Ivanka, she's gorgeous. I don't know what she's doing now. What is Ivanka doing now?
Hopefully
now?
running far away from any sort of campaigning.
Do you think she drinks alcohol?
I think so, but I don't know. I don't know if she really. I think she kind of just winds down and like a robot and just goes into a closet.
Like a marionette with a wind up and the
Yeah,
neck.
I've never seen her express any form of emotion, so I imagine there's some kind of.
You know, I always I wish I was a part of like a mega rich family, but then the older I get and the more I've like see these kind of, especially women that come out of there, they're sort of like old school bred to be you have to have kids immediately and like you must be on your proper behavior at all times.
Yeah.
I think I would go crazy.
I mean, I think with somebody like Ivanka, she was doing what she thought was going to get her the most money, attention, and like favor with her domineering father. That would be my guess, because she never really has strayed from being like, yes, my father is great. Especially even when he says weird sex things about her on. Did you ever see that View clip? It is unbelievably uncomfortable.
What's he saying about her?
I think that was the one where he says, if I wasn't dating, or if she wasn't my daughter, perhaps we'd be dating. And then another interview with her, he said, they asked him, I think it was also maybe on The View where he was asked, what do you guys have in common? And he said something like, well, I would say sex, but maybe golfing. Like some weird out of left field thing about his daughter on public.
And the
TV.
fact that she never had like a rebellious phase or was just like, fuck dad, I'm gonna do what I want. It was all just like still prim and proper.
Oh, are we looking at the article? Let's see.
Voluptuous. Girl, come on.
Do you think my daughter's hot? Voluptuous. Yeah, he says. And don't forget, according to Stormy Daniels.
A piece of ass. He described his own daughter as a piece of ass. Wow.
Yeah.
Daddy.
According to Stormy Daniels, he said to her, you look like my daughter, before they had sex. So
That's so fucking disgusting.
it's crazy. It's crazy that she just ignored all of that to, I guess, maintain the cash flow or something. I don't know.
My dad never did any of that.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Hype train.
Hype train.
Okay, so we have 10 minutes left. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this story. Have you guys heard at all about this Kat Torres story? This is a woman who was just recently arrested. She is in her mid-30s. She was a model she's Brazilian. She came to the States in the 2000s or the 2010s as a model. She was very successful. She then sort of transitioned into a guru. This is a little picture of her here on screen.
She's not a good person.
So she became a New Age guru, and what she in reality was doing was essentially setting up a trafficking ring. One of those that is just the woman doing it, because we see a lot of times a woman, like when we covered like Gloria Trevi and those kind of things, it's like, oh, it's for a pimp guy, but this is actually seemingly all on her own.
Wow.
Girl boss, guys, right? So I don't know, I have questions about things we'll probably never get answers to, because she's still denying that it happened, even though she has right now like 20 women coming forward. But she started out as a New Age guru kind of chick she like spiritual. She felt like she could like see the future, and she told people like she could fix them and help them.
No.
And so she came from a background that was sort of impoverished and made it to the States and like succeeded. And so she was kind of targeting other women in her circumstances who were impoverished, who were maybe wanting to come to the States. And they saw her as this success story. And she basically was a vulnerable woman who preyed upon vulnerable women. She saw an opportunity to maybe use them for whatever her weird needs were, because it was obviously about money. But the stories that these women describe are about like the degradation and also some sort of weird manic things. I don't know why I keep saying everything's manic today, but she wouldn't sleep. So the other women weren't allowed to sleep. They'd have to stay up all night doing stuff for her. And it was like this weird, twisted they got caught like in a web of hers, and they were all people who followed her and wanted to be like her, and they did this thing which we should probably never really do as people, which is, this is a woman who was offering her services. You could like, you know, go through like a monthly subscription, and she would do like have all these things for you to like do and practice. But then if you paid extra money, she'd do a one-on-one Zoom with you.
Cool.
And she would fix your life.
No, no one can fix you.
No.
That's a red flag. They can help, but they're not, especially money.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a registered therapist.
Right. If there's some sort of credential that you're going through with like boundaries and guidelines.
Right.
But this is a woman just being like, I can center your auras, you know, like that kind of thing. And so these women would build relationships with her via paying her, and she would start to ask them to come stay with her in America, in Texas. Or no, I forget where she was when this started, but she moved to Texas eventually to be my assistant. And then, before long, while she was holding their passports and everything, she would be like, well, we're going to have you go dance here.
No. I mean, it's fun to dance. Be that girl. Be that bitch. But if someone's like making you do it, that's a pimp.
Yes. And it's not really clear why she was doing it. Yeah, sure, money, but it seems like it was about domination. And she would keep all of these women, and she would use these new age terms and like make it sound like funky and modern. She'd be like, my witch clan, but she was human trafficking them and would not let them leave. She was also trying to force a lot of them into sex work, and some of them did end up doing that. And she was finally stopped, but this has been happening for a long, like, couple of years here. And she went back, I think she's in Rio de Janeiro for prison. And she only got 8 years for like destroying a bunch of people's lives and stuff, which really sucks.
Brazilian prison. I don't know if I'd want to change hands with her.
Well, not that family.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
There we go. I used to know this girl back in the bottle service days of New York. We made a bunch of money, and I pursued education, and she just kind of kept being hot and young and rich and never sort of emotionally evolved. So she got older and then got really angry and bitter and went into the woo-woo stuff. I love the woo-woo stuff, don't get me wrong, but I think you have to have some kind of balance in your life.
Right.
And then she just kind of, because she never evolved, I think this woo-woo community attracts people like that.
Yeah, there's a predatory aspect for sure. You're right. I think there has to be a balance there. Because sure, but there is a pipeline to really bad things in that world. As much as I criticize like traditional church and religion, that's the same issue happens in New Age stuff too. It's just if you give over too much of yourself to something like this, people who are predators are gonna show up.
Yeah.
And you know, this isn't like she's the only one. We've had many of these cases over the years.
Teal Swan.
We did a whole series on Teal Swan, and we had there was one a few years ago where a gentleman his name is James Arthur Ray. He was holding, in 2011, he was holding a retreat, and I think we have an article for it, but he essentially forced people into the sweat lodge. Yeah, that one or the other one's cool. He forced people into the sweat lodge and told them that they were like basically going to feel like they're dying, but don't worry, don't leave. It's going to be, I think he called it hellish. Yeah, hellacious. And it would feel like they were dying, but to not get out because it's just their like pain leaving, right? Well, 3 people died. 3 people died inside of that incident, and he went to jail. But don't worry, he's out. And he is active on Twitter, felt like just doing red pill content.
Yeah,
up on his high horse.
There is a pipeline from the woo-woo to the alt-right. I don't get it. I don't know why that is. I wish someone could explain it to me. I feel like I get it, but I don't know how to say it.
Well, I mean, this is super misogyny to the max, I think, with this guy, because he's just so arrogant about how spiritual and strong and amazing he is. So when he got out of jail, he had absolutely no shame. Tried to just start rebranding himself as like a god person, wrote a book, and now he's just on Twitter just acting like he didn't kill people and go to prison for it. Just being like, yep, oh, there's his account there.
What does he look like? Can we computer enhance?
Enhance.
He kind of,
He looks like your general douchebag. He looks like a guy you would be like, oh yeah, that guy.
those nostrils. He looks like he would interrupt me a lot and just be like, actually, darling, actually, you don't know. I don't know why he's British. Actually, darling, the men are speaking. And I would break his fucking jaw.
And he just has never apologized to the families of these people who died. They died, I can't imagine many worse ways to die. Like feeling like you're going to die inside of a sauna and then not leaving because the man told you not to is gotta be, like, it makes me think of the end of Midsummer. Like, that's so
Right.
terrifying.
And that's also utilized in the new movie, Kind of Kindness. I saw that. I really enjoyed it. But there's a sauna scene.
Ugh. It's, yeah, horrifying. And that, like, that's just another example. We have another woman, Angela Sumner's getting a lot of, she's running like a witch kind of culty thing, and a lot of people are coming forward with horrible stories about her.
Well, I was going to do on my Amber Live, I was going to talk about woo-woo stuff and witchy stuff. I'll make it fun.
You'll make it fun.
I'll make it fun.
Yeah, there's Angela Sumner. And then, of course, if you guys aren't familiar with the workout to saved pipeline, the most famous is Brittany Dawn. Guys, probably, if you follow any of this, know her. She was sued by the state of Texas for ripping people off by doing similar things that this Cat Torres woman did, but didn't do the trafficking. She just offered to, like, these very expensive plans to help people, like, lose weight, and then just, like, did not do anything and just took all their money. And yeah, there we go. She was sued. And then when this happened and she, like, lost all of her cred in the workout world, she became saved. And
Always find Jesus after this.
now she runs these very expensive, like baptism retreats and stuff like that. And she's still basically the same woman, but she's, like, very antagonistic and, like, caustic and
Oh, that's
horrible.
mean. No, we want to have fun. It looks like it's 6. We do have
It
a fun
is.
video to end, and we have a lot. Oh my God, there's
Oh, let's see some subs here.
lovely comment from XAR626. Love what y'all do, and I strive to tune in weekly because y'all are amazing, and what you do, you were doing something amazing. Thank you so
that's
much.
Nice. Thank you. That's so sweet. Subs, Kaylee Janey, Xar626, thank you. Lisa, 1387, gifted subs, the Donna Party, Check Missy, Xar626, Prime subs, Scat Warlock, Redman 13177, Spent Bits, what?
Fluxobeta.
Fluxabiata, thank you. I'm not
you.
sure what that means.
I love it.
Spend credits.
Oh, they spend credits. Thank you. I love that. It's amazing. We just covered a lot of stuff. Let's do a quick outro,
video.
and then if you want to wait for Amber to pump herself up for Amber Live, it's going to be at 6:30. Very different topics.
Very different show.
We're asking attendees at the Republican National Convention
Oh,
what their
no.
song of the summer is.
This is
Or at
so
least we're
stupid.
trying to.
Just for the summer or of all time?
The song of the summer.
I like the Beatles, the Stones, James Brown, Wilson Pickett.
I think it's Many Men. After the assassination attempts, that
What?
song resonates.
What's
very
that
much.
song?
Oh, my song of the summer?
Oh, God.
I don't think
Oh, Madison Cawthorn, he's there?
I don't know.
Carly Simon, John Hyatt, Sean Mullins, Patrick Davis.
Oh, no, he needs some help. Somebody get him back to his room.
One of the great things about this convention is the music is amazing, and so just having a live band here and everybody having fun and enjoying being together, a lot of energy here.
Well, I always like Streets of Bakersfield.
Bobby Darin, Roy Orbison. I love them all.
Hey, you
You
know,
know what?
I love
I'd have to
Wilson,
think
too.
about that one. Whatever it is, it's going to be upbeat.
Say, as a New Yorker, Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, how original!
These people.
Willie Nelson would fucking hate you. Fuck you. I think they meant songs of the summer of 1964. I think they got confused.
Just out of touch. So out of touch. They cannot run the country. Sorry.
50 Cent. God, I hate these people.
Just naming bands from like 40 years ago. We're new.
Is that the one that Amber Rose spoke at?
She did. She did. Well, this has been a wild year. Woo!
Yeah, let's just
chubby checker. All right.
It's funny that most of those bands would also just tell these people to fuck off.
They would. New Prime sub, TRISKELEAH. Thank you so much.
Triskley.
This has been fun.
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean, it's a lot of horrible stuff we talked about, but we gotta, keep it going.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna get some vodka for the show.